is the first view of the castle. Stories describe it as Britain's most perfect example of symmetrical concentric planning. Fortification is built of local stone with 2 moated outer walls guarded by 12 towers, 2 gatehouses overlooked by an inner wall with 2 large D-shaped gatehouses and 6 massive towers. UNESCO considers it to be one of the finest examples of late 13th century and early 14th century military architecture in Europe, classed as a World Heritage Site as well.
Well, Sunday morning, and I suppose I should now say Choice-Walkumentaries. We're on Ynys Mon, the Isle of Anglesey, and I can't invade this castle either, which I'll take a closer look at in a minute. Another one of Edward I's fine castles, pre-booking only, unfortunately. What we did find here was this little artisan market, and there's lots of different stalls in there. Chocolate, pies, sausage rolls, cakes, crafts, all that kind of thing, and not overly expensive. And there it is.
Morning.
Now, 2 of the most important words you need to learn in Wales: dynion and merched. Dynion, gentlemen, start it. Merched is the ladies.
Keep touching it though, if you want to wear it, just put that in.
Dyma Castell Biwmares. Gyrrwch chi o'n ymwyd a dydach wedi prynw Tacina ac ymlaen llaw, which translated into English, pre-booking only. But for those who are lucky enough to get inside, I'm going to poke this camera through there. This castle again dates from about 1280s, thereabouts. Unfortunately, the pathway runs out here, so I'm just going to sneak up to the very edge here so we can have another look. Poke that through the bars, and you have a fine view of a moated castle. This apparently is one of the finest preserved examples. Traffic getting very busy here now. That's the trouble with places like this. It's full of tourists. But walking around the edge of the castle walls are very rough with the pavement. There's some young ladies in the castle who probably think I'm following them. I really am not. I just want to make sure we see the whole of the castle from the outside. The moat seems to come right round here. Across the road back, because there's a pavement. I wish they'd go across that drawbridge so I can get a bit closer. I can't see any sign of any fish in there. But there you go. It is rather nice, and I don't know what will be going on inside the castle, but there you go. That's the castle. Now, I wish they'd take their photographs and go. Right, because what I want to do is to come up here and I want to film through the drawbridge to see what's inside. There's the view through the drawbridge. And that is probably about as much of Llangefni as we'll be able to see. I'm going to continue walking around here to see what we can find. Everything is all locked and bolted, and I'm not going to film yet till I get past this. I'm not here to film young children, but what they've done here, they've made a little play park just on this side, and although there are one or two children playing, you'll see the castle walls very tastefully incorporating things. Oh, there's a few late flowers here. cornflower? Oh. Rather interesting. Right, is there any traffic coming? Yes there is. Nice view across the other side towards Snowdonia. And the castle walls disappear round the corner, and there is a little park there. They call it Happy Valley. Bowls, putting, that kind of thing. Well, I'm taking a walk, going down to the water's edge. This is the top end of the Menai Straits. It opens out into, I suppose it's the Irish Sea here, because it's not strictly speaking the estuary of the River Dee yet, not until you get right the way round towards Prestatyn. Looking out again towards Puffin Island, and way in the distance the Great Orme. Peter the coach driver said we're actually going to go on a bit of a tour around Ynys Mon today, so hopefully we might get to see some parts of it that I haven't seen before. And then we end up in Llanfwrdd PG. So it's interesting to see what we see today. You'll have to permit me a little laugh there. They've got this tiny little dog, no bigger than a rat, and he's called Eric. Oh, I don't know why, I find that absolutely hilarious. And they're shouting at him, "Come on, Eric!" There's a view of the town disappearing round the corner, and alongside the castle walls a bit further round. And then the road disappears up into those trees over there and becomes quite a narrow road at times with passing places as you climb the hills towards the, I think it was Stevenson's original Menai Bridge, which is now the main one, which the main road goes over, because Telford's original suspension bridge isn't strong enough to take modern traffic. Oh dear, oh dear. I should take better control of the dog than that. Stick him on a lead.
Yeah, I was going to say this is her birthhood, isn't it?
That's the one thing that struck me on this holiday, is dogs. I don't think I've ever seen so many people with so many dogs everywhere you go. I don't know if you can hear in the distance, but the sea much calmer today. That's interesting. Royal Anglesey Yacht Club, race control. Oh, look at those buildings over there, that one in particular. Regency maybe. And there you can see some park homes heading up into the hillside. And there, a little pier and the view across to the mainland. I hope the owner won't mind me filming this, but it's a bit the worse for wear. But how about this stinky little thing? Something you don't see on the road very often. Ah, interesting little vehicle. I suspect it's a Citroen, but there's no real identifying marks. Anyway, something different. There we go. I had to get that building in because the date on the wall there, 1614. Now, on the one hand you could look at it and think that it's an old church, but I think that sign there gives it away. The old courthouse, and now a museum. But that's probably the oldest building I found here. There's another one. Castle Court Hotel. There's a date on there of 1612. So there is a history here. Well, I'm up here in the main street in Biwmares. We just walked through from the seafront and just looking at a nice little old building over there. As soon as you stand still in this place, somebody wants to come by you. But there's gift shops there, of course, and fudge, ice cream, and then looking past a variety of different architectural styles, looking towards the south of the island and Church Street, which looks rather interesting. I've just seen something I want to go and have a look at. Now Church Street should mean there's a church, there's a pub, the George and Dragon. The sun's behind me, so I have no idea what you can see. But we've come up here because here is, I don't know whether it's still church, very little clue as to what it is. We'll go a bit further up. Things everywhere. Central Bakery. We're going to have a look at that. These is flats now. I'm guessing that would have been a chapel in its time, but there's no clue as to what denomination it was. And here's another tiny little chapel of some kind. Oasis exists. Anyway, let's turn off for now while I look for the bakery. Unfortunately the bakery is shut, so I'm going to walk back along here. The part of the building where I would expect to find a date. The concrete is over, which is a nuisance. But sometimes you need to come along these back streets to find interesting architecture. Yes, where they converted this into flats up there where that circle is, you would have expected to find the date stone. It's going to be 1800s, I'd have thought. 1870, 1880, that kind of thing. Especially when you look over there and you find that that building goes back to 1892, so yeah, around about the 1880s, 1890s. And it's now the Bold Arms pub, and there opposite is where I just walked through from the seafront, and that's another little interesting building tucked in behind there. The Forum. That might have been a chapel in the past, though I can't see a date in there, but it's sort of built into and behind the pub. Interesting. I needed to show you this building again. Can't get much further back. It's one of the oldest buildings in the British Isles. Dates from 1400 and was restored in about 1946. Amazing to find it in amongst everything else. Something a bit more interesting, but did I say interesting? Not that interesting, but a bit younger, that's what I meant to say. But still with a bit of history to it. The Bulkley Hotel, which might have been local government offices, which are now there. In a building which I suspect is somewhat younger, but I can't read the inscription, unfortunately. Trying to look for a date on the building, but unfortunately couldn't see one. There's a couple of black clouds. Black cows. And I think I'll now head back to the castle. Ooh. Around every corner there's something interesting. Amazing. I've no idea what that was over there. By the looks of the arch, I would say that was a coach, the back of a coaching inn. You imagine at the end of a 4, 5, maybe even 6-day journey from London, the mail coach finally arrives at Biwmares. I wonder how they got here before Thomas Telford's suspension bridge. I should imagine by a ferry. And here we are, look. We are thankfully a little bit more off the beaten track here. As I've said before, the non-conformist churches still hold sway in Wales. That is a lovely building. If you like your church architecture, let's go over here. Need to stand back, get it all in. That's very nice. Again, probably started 1880s, 1890s, that kind of date I think we're looking at. But once again, no sooner I stand still than everybody else comes in. Let's have a look. This is oh, I suppose I should have guessed from that above the door. This is actually a Catholic church, it's not a non-conformist, and I find that very surprising given its design, but there you go. I still say about the same date, 1880s, 1890s. But now we've come round the back and come round back again towards this little artisan market, and that is where I will finish the filming for this visit to Biwmares. Hope you've enjoyed having a look round.